The Crew Lounge podcast offers a fresh perspective on the film industry, showcasing Hollywood through the lens of Black indie producers, with discussions about up-and-coming projects, personal stories of perseverance, and a focus on the systematic barriers within the industry, highlighting the resilience and creativity of Black filmmakers working to reshape the landscape of entertainment. So pictures up, quiet on set.
What up, what up, what up, man? Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Gabby J. And this is...
I'm Shay J. Otherwise known as Shay Jones. I don't know why to do it like that. I mean, it just felt like...
Oh, this is a new shit. Oh, this is a good person. This nigga is one episode. That's Shay J.
Yeah, that's my original. That's my original email. For real, from Yahoo.
Okay.
It is
All
Shay
right.
J. And it just felt like it goes. I don't know. It just felt like
Gabby J, Shay J, Tay Daz don't really fit in.
We recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
So I guess we reset.
Right. It just felt right. You know, Gabby J. That was my own.
It did flow. That is not.
All right, anyway, welcome back. All right, we are the Hollywood homies. Welcome back to the Crew Lounge. Yeah. So today we are talking about.
All right, sorry. My bad, y'all.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Is it?
It is. All right.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
this is real behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
You're getting it in the scenes. All right. Anyway, welcome back to the Crew Lounge. Today we're gonna talk about gatekeepers. Okay, so what is a gatekeeper? Okay, so everybody has, dreams of being in the industry, dreams that their project is like gonna be all this and it's gonna be great, and we just gotta get in front of the right people, and it has to be the right time, and it has to be all the things, we're just amazing storytellers, and somebody's gonna give us like 500 million right off rip. They just
Right.
give it to us. Like that's
Mhm.
just because we're the shit. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that there is, I don't want to call it a dark side, but there's this other side to the industry that is not all flowers and butterflies and all of that. It's just
Yeah.
it's just not. All right. There's just
Yeah. And I mean, I would just say that to be fair, I think that most industries where there is a lot of money involved, there are gatekeepers. And they look different. Every industry it's gonna look different, but I feel like in the film industry, you have to get to a certain level to even run into a gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Because if you're just out, you just making stuff, and you just, posting to YouTube, whatever. You're not in Hollywood, you don't have a lot of friends in the industry or whatever, then it's easy. You might not ever run into a gatekeeper if you just creating for fun, posting stuff on YouTube. But like when you're actually moving up the ladder is when we start to see them. And I know I've seen them in a few cases, but especially when I was doing first AD and assistant director, that was a thing. That was a thing, and I was being told by people on set too. The people I was shadowing, the other ADs who were in the union,
Oh, I feel such a story coming on. I know what you're talking about, who you're talking about, but yeah, go ahead.
And I'm gonna keep it cute. I'm gonna keep it cute. But it's definitely. I don't want to use the word warned, but people were trying to just let me know, like give me the knowledge that, to be honest, it's like they were telling me, you're Black, you're a woman. And this is just the reality of the industry. It's hard for a lot of people to make it up, but especially you being Black, you being a woman, it is, I mean, that's just how it is. And we could see it. We could look at Universal and Warner Brothers and stuff. And to be honest, see who, like when you're actually looking at people who are in positions of power. And it's like that for the big production companies, but also for, a lot of sets too. For a lot of sets, there are people who hold, it's like once you make it to that spot, there's so much competition that people would just rather honestly give it to somebody that they know, than having somebody else come in who hasn't been recommended by somebody, or who they've never worked with before. So they don't know, production is all about a rhythm thing, and being able to jump in and work with other people at different capacities, and everybody can't do that. And so there's a part of me that feel like all of the gatekeeping isn't necessarily, or there are parts to there are things that kind of get conflated when it comes to gatekeeping sometimes, because from my experience, there's a part of me that understands that if you don't know how to do the job, a lot of these sets, like, we don't have time to teach. Like, you just need to come in ready to go. Unfortunately, I feel like that is used as an excuse as to why they don't hire certain people, so.
Right. Because it can be misconstrued that you just don't have what we have, or you don't have that. You don't have that experience. You don't have that life experience, work experience, networking experience with certain people that I know, because I know so and so, and so on. And it really is a who do you know type of person, type of industry. It really is that, and sometimes you can be seen as you're just not going to know the right people anyway. I can look at you and say, you're not going to know my circle. You're not going to know what's happening. And we're not going to be able to talk about the same things because you're not on the same level. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I feel like, we've all experienced it at some level. Once you get to that higher level, once you get to the part where you have viable projects and you have some level of connection to someone, that can also put you in front of a gatekeeper, and that gatekeeper can easily say, like, you're not somebody who would normally go for it. But the thing is, what you really also have to understand is that a lot of times the gatekeepers, a lot of times they're afraid of losing their own job. I feel like in the industry, everyone really is kind of scared. Because you're only as good as the last project that you
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's really what it is. So a lot of times people don't feel like they want to stick their neck out for XYZ person that doesn't look like me, doesn't seem like me, doesn't sound like me, doesn't hang out with the same places I hang out, doesn't have the same interests that I have. And they're just very different than me. And this project is probably very different than what the agency has seen before, or more of the same of what the agency has seen before. And I don't want to be the one to say, to put this on somebody's desk and somebody be like, we already have that. Don't you have anything new to, don't you have anything to bring? Like, don't waste my time. There's this whole idea of, like, let's not waste time. And so a lot of times, you're not necessarily in the first command with the main person that is making the big decisions. You are in command with their assistants. Their interns. Sometimes they're reading it, sometimes they're not reading it, sometimes they're going based off the first 10 pages, which is usually what a lot of people do anyway. All right. When we're talking about scripts in general, because that's like the first step to kind of getting your show off or getting your movie off is those first 10 pages. They may not like the title. It may not connect with them personally. Those 10 pages could be whack. They could be great, but just, again, not connecting personally. So there's a lot of reasons why the script the project, whatever it is not going to go forward to the next person because they're scared, and it's not something that they're going to be like die hard for
Mhm.
if it's something totally new. So that's kind of like you know what that's basically what a gatekeeper is
Mhm.
and what they're where they're coming from in their whole part of the industry.
Mhm.
Um, do you have any? Well, you kind of talked about your experience with like just gatekeeping on set, which
Yeah.
a lot of times we don't even think about. We
Yeah.
don't even think about,
Yeah.
like sometimes people are just not letting you do your job.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just
Yep.
not letting you do your job, or they don't think you can
Absolutely.
do your job. So that is a form of gatekeeping because they have some level of power over you,
Mhm.
and they're just kind of like, you stay over there,
Yeah.
and you don't advance.
Mhm.
You're not going to
Mhm.
advance. I'm gonna take the shine for this,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's just what
Yeah.
it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I think on our level of just producing in general, um, and just writing in general, we've had some really good, conversations with people in terms of getting past gatekeepers, in some way, shape, or form. But again, you don't always know what it is that they're looking for. Well, you kind of know what they're looking for, but there's a whole bunch of reasons why there might be whole bunch of no's.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So in some ways, the ones that actually look like they are the ones that can make the final decisions are actually a gatekeeper as well.
Mhm.
All right, because some executives are not trying to push things forward to another department,
Mhm.
in order to get things out. All right, they're not trying to do that because again, if their project flops, it is what it is, and that's bad on them, and they
Yeah.
can get fired for that.
Mhm.
So
Which is
yeah,
what I was saying, like, there is a part of that that I understand,
right,
like, working and on the marketing side now, it's like, when you have to stick your neck out for people and you are the representation
right,
of, you know what I'm saying? Like your name is on that. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Your name is on the recommendation. Your name is, you have basically said, okay, this person can get the job done, or this, like you were saying, this script, whatever,
right,
it will be great. It's like, and if it doesn't, then who now my neck is on the line. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Now I lost my job trying to like look out for you. So
right,
it's a part of it that I understand, but then I know like sometimes or a lot of the times it's just used as a power play, you
yes,
know, and it can be discouraging sometimes. And I do think that, I mean, from people that I've known who have come out, who've moved out here to work in the industry, who had some traction, some burn, and then they run into a major like gatekeeper, and they are just so discouraged that it's like, well, I tried, I had my one script or whatever, and it went up here, whatever, and
hmm
then I got to this person and it was just like,
right,
it was very disappointing, in other
right,
words. And they turned around and went back home
yeah,
because it was like we said in the first episode, like everybody's, uh, or shall I say, making it is subjective. It looks different for everybody.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's like I said, I feel like gatekeeping is a part of any industry with money.
Mhm.
You could be a doctor. I'm sure in the medical field, they have gatekeepers. I'm sure
Mhm.
in education, you working your way up trying to, you work at a college. So
Mhm.
like, just imagine like trying to become the dean of students or something like that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it start
Mhm.
to get a little like, it ain't just about the
Mhm.
the talent or the skill set or your resume.
Right.
There are a lot of other factors at play.
Yeah.
And I think it's just it's the focus is normally on the entertainment industry, but I feel like it's everywhere. Like I said, industries with a lot of money, and it's a workaround. It's a
It's a
work.
it's
It,
a it's
it
a
takes,
it's hard, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
think obviously there are diversity and inclusion programs, and people kind of get things or don't get things,
Hmm. Hmm.
because
Hmm.
sometimes you come out of that and you still have to you're kind of in the same place,
Yeah.
or you got to work your way up in
That's a
some
good
other
point.
kind of way.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because sometimes we feel like we've all just kind of made it, but at the same time, in the same way, like you could also make it with these programs,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
but at the same time, it's kind of difficult to navigate. All right, because the reality is that these are put in place to kind of promote
Yeah.
the diversity and inclusion, but then the jobs are very scarce still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jobs are very scarce.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They're not,
Yep.
especially now.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
in this particular part of the industry, at this time in the industry, there are lots of layoffs happening.
Yeah.
And so generally when layoffs are not happening, this is like pre-strike and pre-COVID and all of that, it was hard just with that, just in general. It was just hard to be in a diversity and inclusion program and then do well in that, and then
Yeah.
kind of expect a job at the end of
Yeah.
that, because
Yeah.
the reality is it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't always it doesn't fare for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I mean, just like you said, the competition with that, it's hard to even get into a lot of those programs.
yeah, that's another
Like,
thing. It's hard to get in
you
there.
know,
You gotta know somebody.
yeah.
You gotta have a gatekeeper with that.
You see what I'm saying? Like, there are so many different levels to it. Like, and the bottom line is they exist, and for me, what I normally tell people, I used to try to encourage people to move to California all the time and, follow your creative dreams and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
all that BS. But which I still wholeheartedly believe. I still believe because that's what I live by.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in forcing it on anybody else anymore because everybody's not built the same.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't take, like, this is like something that will really stop people from moving forward, who would just like, be like, screw it, I'm not doing that anymore. And like you said, if we're talking about the diversity and inclusion programs, those are hard to get into.
Those are hard to get
Those are gate kept. So if you're like, I can't get into a program, I can't do this, I can't do that. So I'm not gonna make it in the industry. Obviously, just like everybody told me I wouldn't make it. This proof. The proof is in the pudding. My thing is, if you are built like that, then the gatekeeping is, a null and void. It's just another roadblock, You're
built like somebody who can't take that kind of heat, or built like somebody who can.
Somebody who can't. Yeah. Like if you're built, if you have like the resilience, and you're resourceful, and you're like, I'm just going to keep, going to, either these events, these networking events, and I'm going to get into like these groups, these writers groups, acting groups. I'm just going to be around people, and I'm going to, socialize and, try to make as many connections as possible. Sometimes I watch people who do that all the time. And sometimes that it works. It takes it for all of us. The timeline is different, but it's like, sometimes that journey works. And then you have other ones where it's just like, I'm just going to create my own stuff. I'm not going to wait for anybody to give me a green light to create. I'm not going to wait for somebody to accept my stuff, or to give me an offer for my script, or I'm not going to wait for my script or my short to get accepted into a film festival before I continue to create. It's like, no, I'm going to do all of those things. And regardless of what happens, regardless of the gatekeeper, regardless of the circumstances, the situations, I'm still going to create regardless.
Yeah. Right.
That is the type of person I feel like this industry, like who will excel in this industry, because there's so many levels of gatekeepers and there's so many parts of the industry, if you're looking at it from a writer standpoint, or for somebody who comes in with a lot of projects who they could pitch, or if you're somebody who works behind the camera as far as on set and production coordination or management, AD, PA, then it's, it's just a lot of grit and resilience, because there's going to be gatekeepers on every level. So regardless, I don't want to discourage anybody from trying to do this. It's just understand that this stuff is, it's active, it's here. And it's up to you to, make that decision on what's best for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me tell you, just on a personal tip, and like, for us, like when we did A Rose in Concrete, the movie, Amazon Prime, Tubi, go check it out, please. Go ahead.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. When we did A Rose in Concrete, we didn't have the money. Let's be real. Like we really didn't have a lot of money. Like what we had was relationships.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's always
People
good.
be sleeping on them relationships,
People
man.
sleep on relationships.
The relationships
They
making the
sleep on
difference.
relationships. So we
Yeah.
had relationships. But at the same time, people were telling us it can't be made. You can't do it. Like this is not gonna
And when
work.
you say people,
Right.
what type of people? Are you talking about like friends and family, or are you?
No, it was other producers.
Okay.
Other producers, because they felt like everything had to be so. Like if you don't have, $500,000, we're not having the conversations, and we're not doing the things, and we're not, and people were just like, you want to shoot a feature with barely any money?
Wow.
Hats off to you. I mean, some people would be very interested in the script. They would
Yeah.
be trying to, really get in, like, oh, this is great. Okay, and then what's your budget? And the thing is, we know that could be off-putting to some people, because they're like, well, how are people going to recoup their money? So I get that producers got to recoup their money. There's a whole point system. There's a whole percentage. There's all of that. But at the same time, that didn't stop us. That didn't stop us from creating. It didn't stop us from putting the movie out there. It didn't stop us from tapping into the relationships that we had, tapping into the resources and the abilities that we had. Also shameless plug. This resource right here is as AD and and we, I think sometimes, and this is very controversial in terms of what, the mindset that people think is that people feel like you can only do one thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you're not allowed to be a jack of all trades.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
not allowed. Like,
yeah.
it's a bad. And a lot of times
That's a good
in
point.
the indie world, you can't just do only one thing a lot of times, especially if you're trying to create something that is tangible, an actual film and all of that, and you don't have all the resources. And I feel like when we did Lovers and Friends, it allowed all of us to wear different hats, and all of us to kind of have our hands in everywhere and learn how to do these different things, so that when we are on our set, we know what to expect from other people, and we know that if for whatever reason they can't handle it, we know how to step in. We know how we know things are just not gonna fall apart because I don't know how to do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what a DJI is, or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? Like, things are just gonna fall apart because all I know is the script, and all I know is the actors. And all of the things. So it really does behoove a lot of new creatives to do as much as you can, to learn as much as you can, so that you can create your own thing, because that is where the industry is going right now.
Man.
Between COVID and the strikes that have just kind of hit, that's where the industry is going. So do your own thing, put your own stuff out, and now there's a lot more places for independent producers to actually put their stuff out.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So yeah. So let's wrap it up with, what are we watching?
What are you watching? What am I watching?
I don't know. I'm watching so much.
Right. What am I watching? One thing, I don't know how y'all gonna feel about this, but I'm obsessed with this topic. I have been watching the Aaron Hernandez story on Hulu. I'm like obsessed. I believe that's Ryan Murphy, right? I'm like a huge Ryan Murphy.
I'm a big Ryan Murphy fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
And I just, like, I've been following the story since 2017. So I low key, I've been waiting to see like a scripted version instead of all of the documentaries and stuff that they have about it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like Ryan does what Ryan does, and I feel like he's killing that series. So I haven't finished it yet. I think it's still ongoing at the moment of this recording. But
it was another Ryan Murphy thing that I've been watching too. Oh my gosh. Menendez Brothers.
Yes.
Menendez Brothers. Ryan, I'm gonna put that as my what I'm watching, even though I've watched it already. But Menendez Brothers. That's
so good.
So good.
So good.
So interesting.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. And again, told differently than the documentary, because I've watched that too. I watched that. And the way that Ryan Murphy tells the story is it's just kind of wild.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know
Yeah.
all the time. He's walking the line because he's like,
for real,
these
for
guys are
real.
terrible. No,
Yeah,
maybe
but
they're not.
yeah.
But maybe they are.
He's
And
so
it's
good
just-
at that.
He's
Like,
just and he's it just adds this whole Ryan Murphy luster because his shows have a certain luster, feel to it, you know. So
Yeah.
Menendez Brothers,
Yeah.
I would say for sure.
That was amazing.
And what are we working on?
I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. All right. By the way, if you ever come out to LA, you go to these networking events, those are 2 questions that you're gonna have to know off the top. What are you watching?
What are you working on?
What are you watching? So for me,
That's
what
a
I'm
good
working
tip.
on, from what I'm working on right now is I think I mentioned in the last episode we're doing I'm doing a short in Florida, so that's really good. But I'm also trying to finalize and kind of pitch out a Christmas movie.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's called Hot Girl Christmas, and we're trying to get that in the right hands. So we're working on getting that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, right now, my mind is on a shoot I have tomorrow. I have a photo shoot, and me and my wife are working on a rebrand for our content marketing agency. And there's a lot of media parts right now, and we are like in production for it. So I'm super excited to tackle this tomorrow. I do not do photography. I am not the photographer for this shoot, but we have a video portion, and I do a lot of the BTS basically. But this time we're actually like, we have a story going with it. So I'm super excited to get to that tomorrow and for people to see what we've been working on. So
yeah. All right. Thank you for chilling with us Hollywood homies in the Crew Lounge. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave messages in the comments. We would love for you to hit us up at 1025productioncompany@gmail.com. We did.
And then y'all can tell us
Yeah,
what y'all have been working on.
Hey,
So
tell us what you're working on. All right. All right. Thank you so much.
it's a wrap. It's a wrap. See y'all next week.
I'm moving.
See you next time.
Next time. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
That shit is cool to me. I'm as hot as it gets.